welcome to Games and Gimmicks, the podcast discussing video games, professional wrestling, and everything in between. I'm the poor-ass gamer alongside E. Huffy.
Joey, I just wanted to come over and let you know that I found out I have a Stadia, and you should probably get yourself tested.
Yes, we're very close here on the podcast, and it's just I'm glad you had the courage to come over here and tell me that.
That's just honesty. So that's it. I'm gonna go.
So I appreciate you let me know, and Google let the world know
that they have a Stadia.
That they have Stadia. They want to give the world Stadia. And that's what we're going to be talking about here today. This is going to be a fun podcast. I think. There was a lot of information to digest about this. Just looking at the conference, and it's still that kind of like 2005-ish vibe that you get from press conferences, where it's like, here's all the business crap about Google, which also, we're going to get into the pros and cons of things here too as we talk about it, but like, that it felt very businessy, and then it was like, hey, video games.
By the way, here's why we're here.
So, so if you didn't know, Google came out and announced that they're doing a streaming service. The first of really what we think is going to be a lot of companies in the world of gaming saying, hey, we're going to do everything streaming, just like Netflix and Hulu and everything else that you have out there.
Everybody.
So how did you feel after I sent you a few notices about this, but this was like big news this entire week. How did you feel about Google getting into the world of gaming? They talked about it for a while. Too, so.
Funny thing is I didn't even know that. It's not surprising. My initial thought was this is going to fail. Yeah. It's just gonna crash and burn, just like every other thing that they announce and that they're gonna do. And then when it comes out, it lasts for a hot minute, and then it crashes and burns. Yeah. Where's your Google glasses?
Yeah.
Where's your Google specs?
They got rid of Google Hangout, or not Hangout, but Plus. The social network. So,
like you said, we're gonna go through the pros and cons of all of this. Mm-hmm. So that was my first thought, and then my second thought was if for whatever reason it does stay for a while, it's so not necessary and the absolute direction that gaming should not go, because they're moving to make sure that you don't own your video games anymore. Yeah, that's what's going on. Yeah, it's kind of, they're trying to go the route of home media as well. The companies no longer want us to own things. They want to own it and determine what we can and cannot play and watch, and we'll get into all those details because it's true. So I, as you could tell by my responses, I was pretty negative on the whole thing. Believe it or not, I do have one, maybe two positives, but on the whole, I'm not a happy camper about it.
We're gonna talk about this too.
Look how fucking stupid that is. I'm sorry, I'm not gonna take my goddamn iPhone, plug it into a controller. It looks so fucking stupid. It looks stupid. Like what? No. So what? I'm gonna suck out the data on my cell phone and kill my battery on my phone. Like, I'm sorry, I'll pull out my DS or my Switch. Sorry, that's what this. Whatever. Sorry, I just completely cut you off because we got the video in the background here. It's just kind of
it's interesting because okay, so let's talk about some pros first.
Let's talk about the pros.
I have a friend, Nathan. I used to work with Nate. I think is no, we used to call him Nathan. It's a very short period of time.
Not the issue here
for like 2 years. So but we were talking on Facebook a little bit, throwing some messages about this whole Stadia announcement, and he was like, well, I was part of the beta, the stream beta.
They had a beta for this?
It was Project something or other. I can say that's how terrible I am. Project Stream or something like that, maybe.
Okay.
And he said, I was able to play Assassin's Creed Odyssey on a MacBook Air from like 2012 with a wireless Xbox 360 controller. Mm-hmm. And he said it worked pretty well, and I didn't have, as far as what most people have, a very fast internet connection. Right. So there's some value in that, right? There's some value in that as far as where things are going.
Right.
We have all digital content libraries right now. We've pretty much almost all moved over to that.
Right.
The occasional physical copy of a game that you and I buy because we really want it, that still exists out there. And truthfully, I think should always sort of exist in some way.
Right.
The business model of like a GameStop, which we're going to talk about, may not exist in the future, but physical retailers are always going to sell DVDs and movies and you know, games.
Yeah.
So in a way, you can kind of see a lot of this stuff as a natural evolution of where things are going. Sony's talked about it. Microsoft's talked about it. There's big talk on all sides that they're going to do that.
Right.
The only one that we really haven't seen, other than, you know, their independent content and stuff like that, is Nintendo, which is really surprising that they're like, you know, they've always been a little bit behind, actually, to be honest. But
always.
But even looking at this, there's some part of my brain that is like, well, this is just the natural path of where all this stuff is going. And then we get into like the stuff that is involved with Google. And then I think that's the problem really overall, is what I was getting with, is that you got this great like natural evolution of technology, and like, you know, we can get games to anybody. Like imagine like some fucking kid in some country that only has a basic internet connection and like a very basic computer and could play, you know, current generation video games, or even like, you know, great storytelling video games. It might be of value to that kid.
But if they're running on an old computer and can't get new stuff, are they really going to have the money to buy a brand new game?
Sure, but I'm just saying that, like, that's just one example. Let's just say like the advantage of like games as a medium, I think we've talked about that before, can expand your mind. It can like bring about new thoughts about things, people, experiences, and stuff. And getting that to more people is always great. But then you pair it with the mega corporation that is Google, and then you have all these problems. And that's partially what I think is the biggest issue, is that like, if this were not Google, would the general reaction to most people be like, like, I don't like, would it be great? Like, oh yeah, that's great. It's going to be a great system. Like if this were Sony, which they could easily be coming out to say that too. You know, what happens in the long run with this, because Google has been known to kind of like skirt the edges, like you said, of delivering a product that says like, oh, it's going to do all this shit, and then it just sort of doesn't do that shit.
Fizzles out and dies. Yeah. So positive I got out of that from you was pretty much outreach to the whole world, that people from different areas, all walks of life, can experience these games.
And it's not to say that they can't already right now, which is some of the things, but I think a larger thing for the industry that's going to be happening over the next couple of years, outside of just like streaming and stuff, right, is game unionization. They've been talking about that big in the last couple years. It needs to happen, just so that they can have normal lives and still produce games. Because like, I think we could go back to the days of games being produced like every 5 years, or like, you know, 2.5 years. Like you fill those gaps with different things.
The games are big enough. I mean,
because there's so much content that like we can give developers more time. But when I look at this stuff, it's breaking down the traditional walls that evolve with traditional game development. And I think that like by offering it in a medium where like I can make a game now, get a little bit of publishing money, or reach out to somebody that's willing to publish that game, and then I can put it on a platform like this, which is just like wide open apparently. There's some you know,
time out. Hold that thought. Hold that thought. What you're seeing right now is complete bullshit. Just so everybody knows, the human eye cannot see cannot see 8K. Do not listen to 8K in any way, shape, or form. It's made up. They're doing this just to make you think they're doing something awesome. FYI.
What about the frame rate stuff? Because I think games do live really well with high frame rates. Like they do, like, you know, we forget that like a lot of the old school games that we go back to actually had really like high frame rates, because they weren't pushing like 3D crazy geometry at you.
Right.
They were, some of those old school games did run at 60 frames per second. But like, I think gaming is great for that. Movies, not so much. The frame rate stuff, we're all going to go into that in the next like 20, 30 years with all this technology being offered to us for cheap, and whether or not we upgrade is just going to be part of it.
I'll enjoy the higher frame rates when my PlayStation doesn't sound like a hairdryer when I have... Seriously, when I turn off, I keep a locked frame rate because of the fact that for whatever reason in 2019, my PlayStation 4 I have to have earbuds in, headphones to hear my game.
That's the thing. I've evolved from you can see mine is like pretty far away from everything now.
It's out the door.
It's open. It's not
cord.
In any cabinet. It's
Neither is mine.
Yeah,
neither is mine.
That's
just how they are.
And that's how they are. They're super loud.
Face of Foley sent me a hilarious video, absolutely funny, about a guy. Everybody's reaction when they bought Red Dead Redemption 2, which I didn't know the physical copy is 2 discs. Did you know that?
Yep, I did know
Sweet
that.
baby
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, he got all done and installed everything, and then turned the game on in his PlayStation.
Yep.
This
Can't
massive fan,
even hear anything. Yeah.
I do have a positive of this Stadia disease thing that's coming out. I do like the instant access. So you're perusing the store,
and
you watch a trailer for a game, or you try, heaven forbid, a demo.
Which
bring
would be
back
cool.
demos?
It would be awesome. Yeah.
And you're like, hey, this game's great. I'd actually like to get it, and you purchase it, and then bada boom, there it is. It's good to go.
Yep.
I do like that, but there are a lot of negatives that go along with that. But that is my positive that I take away from Stadia, from what I saw.
I like the instant access. I think they get into this video in a little bit here too, but like creating and they might have even already said it too, a sort of backbone for internet, which Google's already the backbone of the internet when it comes to a major corporation that has data centers all over the world. So the thing that if you play multiplayer games, especially on the Sony side, a lot of the servers are dependent on the developer to make them running well, and Sony kind of doesn't get in there and really mess with that unless they need to do it themselves, fix it for them. So Google having that capability of maybe making games online a little bit more stable would be really cool. I like the concept of, they get into it later in this video, of imagine you're in a multiplayer game and you're wanting to see all the different perspectives of all the other players at the same time, or you wanted to see, it's just about giving you more information. There's a very visual example in this video that displays how they could change multiplayer games a little bit more and make them more friendly. There was they talked about couch co-op, which I think is a really positive thing to hear even out of Google, that they want to sort of get it back to where people can play games together sitting on the same couch and experiencing that way.
Right.
And one way they decided to do that was, well, imagine I go over to your house, we have a Stadia game that we bought, right? And we want to play that together. Well, cool. The shitty part about co-op most of the time is split screen.
Yeah.
And it's not always beneficial to the game that you're playing.
Right.
So I could bring this laptop, sit on my lap, got my own controller. I can see the whole perspective of the game. We're right next to each other. It's like a LAN party. It is basically a LAN party, right?
Oh, God.
But that's a really fucking cool concept that came out of this. And I was like, wow, that's fucking sweet. But then again, they take a right turn, and then they're like, yeah, that game that your favorite fucking streamer, your fucking influence fucking fuck your face, motherfuckers.
Wow.
I hate to do that, but I don't like this. I don't like the concept of I talk over a video, which we're doing right now, as a concept of it being creating. This is just commentary is what it is. It's not, we're not creating content here. I am an artist in real life, but I'm not a fucking artist by putting content that somebody else already made with shots and shit like that and me talking over it. That's not great. The same with somebody who's playing a video game. Like when I play video games and I talk over it, that's again just commentary, folks. That's not really like some artistic medium for me. I don't look at it that way. But this entire culture of video games has evolved to this point where we're like creators, they're influencers,
I know, yeah.
and they're the important ones in video gaming, and it's like why did we give so much control to regular ass fucking people playing video games?
It's not exclusive to video games too. I mean, that's the biggest thing with the movies now.
Yeah,
that's
all
the big
that
thing with movies, all sorts of media. So let's get back into.
But that's the thing; they cater to all that because they want you to play the game together with that person, or they want to create this environment where it's like games are like my creator can create like a bullpen for people to come in, and if they subscribe to my Twitch page, well, guess what? They get first dibs on that online game to play with me, the cool creator guy. Like, I feel like that aspect of what they're doing is just like I don't fucking care about any of that shit. And like maybe it's just us because we're over 30 and we don't generally look at it that way.
Right.
But yeah, like that was one thing that got really deep in me, and I was like, Jesus, like fuck, this is fucking awful. Like I don't like that at all.
Yeah.
So that was my biggest con, I would say, is like the catering to the creator as if there's something like super special in this industry, and it's like they're not.
Yeah.
They're throwaway.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say my biggest negative, the one that I'm really wary of, is if you get this system, you are at the mercy of your internet service provider.
Yeah.
You will not be able to play games unless you have an internet connection. And on top of that, a lot of internet service providers have data caps. You know this is going to annihilate your data caps and want you to upgrade to purchase, a higher data cap. And then, so again, if the internet goes down, guess what? Even in this day and age, I can still play a PlayStation 4 game.
Exactly.
Granted, the online features won't be available, which I could care less anyways.
Sure.
You can still play a Nintendo Switch. You lose the internet, guess what? The thing's handheld. You can go to, you can still play.
I could still get a cartridge for it.
I'm not a fan of being. I do not like internet dedicated anything. That's why I'm so anti digital movies. Because digital movie collection, my ass, if your internet ever goes down, you can't watch a movie.
Sure.
Whereas I can walk over to my amazing looking collection and grab a video.
I do like your Nook.
I've worked so hard on it. Grab a movie and watch it.
Yeah.
No internet connection needed. I know the internet's what it is. It's what our whole world revolves around. I just don't like it. I'm not a fan.
When you leave this mortal coil, Eric, you will have bequeathed all this this great content to your child and your family, and you
better fucking appreciate it.
There is something in that,
or send it to a museum.
Well, like there's something in it when it's an example of like the stuff that you enjoyed and the people around you enjoyed, and we've. One of the bigger negatives that also came out of this is, as we've talked about it, is some games have been digitally distributed and then pulled off a store for one reason or another, or no reason at all.
Let's take that as an example really quick, because I actually wrote that down in my notes. So, yes, I have pretty much converted to a digital for gaming because GameStop can suck my ass.
Yeah.
They're a piece of shit company, and plus the discs are pretty much useless, but we do from time to time get the physical when we do like the box, or if it's a special edition or something like that. But reason being that I do like the digital as well, because you actually have the game. You buy it digitally and you download it to your system or your hard drive. You have it. You own it. So the Godzilla game that I recently purchased on disc was available on the PlayStation Store.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, the company behind it said, "Nah, you know what? Fuck it. We're done."
Right.
It's gone.
Yep.
It's off the store. If you don't have that on your hard drive, you're pretty much shit out of luck.
Yep.
Because there used to be DLC and all this content. I can't access any of that on the store because they took it out, even though I bought the game physically.
So I've found other examples of this.
Yeah.
Too.
So when you buy a movie on iTunes, if you don't download that to your computer and the studio goes, I don't want that movie available anymore, it's gone. Even though you paid for it, it's not yours.
Yeah, because you're not technically, you're getting like you know, in the world of editing and stuff, it's like the final edit 1, 02,
Yeah.
03, like you're getting like different cuts of like what they changed potentially
Yeah.
if you don't download it at a particular time,
Right.
or
So I see that with this.
the other example I found with this was there was a Transformers game that I think that Devastation one that was offered on PlayStation Plus.
Oh yeah.
A while ago. I don't think you can download that one anymore.
Oh yeah, that's and that's funny.
And PT was that survival horror game that was Guillermo del Toro and Hideo Kojima. They made this demo, and then they were like, "Oh, we're not making that," and Konami pulled the thing off of there. You can't play that.
It's gone.
There's a lot of past precedent, even just with those examples. I'm sure there's more that probably shows that if something goes under at any particular time for pretty much anybody involved in that process, you know, the gamer loses, and they don't get that content ever again. You have to get it at that time and leave it there on your hard drive and never delete it.
And I know I'm taking a chance putting all my games on a hard drive because guess what? If that hard drive ever goes, and if for whatever reason the game's not offered on the store anymore,
right,
I've lost it forever.
How many times with your PlayStation 4 recently, since you started using an external hard drive, have you run into the issue where somehow you like flip the power or something like that, or like maybe you didn't shut it off properly and it like goes through that whole stupid fucking sequence of let's recheck the hard drive. Okay, we'll do that. Okay, now we check this out. Oh wait, the drive is no longer working anymore. I guess we got to recover all that stuff. I had that 2 months, 2-3 months, and I've already had to delete everything off of it, recover it, and reinstall everything.
I've had the error come up before, but it's never found anything wrong. It happened more so with my first hard drive that was already bad to begin with, but the new one that I got, I haven't experienced any issues. So it's funny because once this came, you know, I made the conscientious decision to go digital because of my awful experience with getting Arkham Knight at GameStop. I'm still salty about that.
You can find that in our back catalog, folks.
I don't know what episode it's on, but
it's somewhere.
It's out there.
Yeah.
And but then hearing about this, it makes me think again, like, hey, gal, you know what? You know, it's. I got Fire Pro Wrestling from Amazon. You know, it was sent from Amazon, so I don't have to go to GameStop. I'd much rather go to Amazon.
But that experience wasn't still like you've like paid a lot for something that didn't turn out to be a lot.
But that's the fault of the game company. That has nothing to do with Amazon, or you know, better yet, hell, just you know, go to your secondhand shops, not GameStop.
No. Support the local
places
shops,
and things like that. So that's always it has made me think like, you know, I probably should kind of get back into that again. But, you know, it's just a crazy, crazy world. But yeah, I'm just not. Something is lost, especially with digital collections. It's not really a collection. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's why the retro gaming is so big right now. People love having all of those physical items. It's like, you know, it gives you a sense of pride and just happiness, showing that, hey, I've got this. I have this. Look at that. Gold Zelda cartridge. I don't know what that's worth. Who knows? But you've got it. You know what I mean? And it's like, it's very, very cool, especially with retro gaming. So, and especially with the movies. I love being able to look and see like, man, you know, I worked hard in creating this collection that I have.
Right.
I don't get that sense of pride with my little digital game library on my PlayStation. I look at that, I'm like, yeah, okay, those are my games.
And
whatever.
also, like, remember how I discussed this? I mean, this is from a long time ago, but how like digital libraries could be changed to make them look like physical libraries.
Yeah.
So that way, like, there could be some nice nostalgia with people being
make
able
it look
to
like a
see
bookshelf
that.
Or something.
Yeah, like
game spines.
And it would be very simple. Like, do a whole game spines of the PlayStation Network games you downloaded, and like that would look really fucking cool having it there. But there's something lost with not having it now. Before we sort of finish on the Stadia topic, we talked about a lot of negatives here. We're gonna kind of go through a little bit of some of the things that were at least said by Google. This is in a Kotaku article. What we know and don't know about Google Stadia. Google says that the service will be able to run games up to 4K 60 frames per second with a 30 megabyte connection with presumably slower speeds, allowing for 1080p. They said that they could.
They make it sound like 1080p is like the shit resolution.
Yeah,
like how fucking
it's
dumb
still great.
are you?
It's still great, folks.
Oh God.
they said that it will scale for the frame rate and graphics for the internet connections below 30 megabumps. If you have less bandwidth, we'll give you a lower resolution. So there's one thing where they're kind of telling you that it could
If you don't have
look
a good
bad.
internet, yeah.
Yeah. All Stadia games will require a constant internet connection. What Eric really hates, if it goes down, you can't play them.
Oh, eat a dick. That right there pretty much guarantees I'm never going to buy this piece of shit.
I know.
I'm never going to get it.
But it could be like a gaming thing in a pinch kind of thing. Like if you wanted to play a game real quick and you had a good internet connection.
When has that ever been in a real life situation?
I don't know. Maybe
exactly.
Maybe
That's
you're
what
like,
never happened.
Imagine you're getting new tires and you couldn't have anybody pick you up and drop you off again, right? So you had and you're bored, so then you pick up a game on your phone and you're able to play it right there and kill some time. That'd be kind of cool, right?
Yeah, and then I can't wait to see my cell phone bill the next month.
What if there's free internet wherever you're at?
And have my shit stolen.
No one's gonna steal anything.
You do know all your shit's compromised when you use free Wi-Fi at a restaurant, at a tire store. My God.
Whatever.
Come on, man.
Use a really secure password. You'll be fine. Eric, you're too paranoid. And lock your credit down so that no one can open anything
because it will get stolen. So at least you might as well lock your shit
down.
That's
the best thing you can do. Oh, so back to what we were talking about before Eric blew up on us, folks, about internet.
I'm gonna make sure nobody buys this.
Stadia can run on any device that has Google Chrome, including phones, tablets, PCs, and TVs. The Stadia data center PCs where games will actually be running uses Linux, which is pretty much the standard for most the stuff out there. They talked about their specs. I don't really care about any of that stuff. They confirmed Doom Eternal was going to be on there, which is this next edition of Doom. You can play. You have to get the controller to play things with the Chromecast. That's a little you have to buy it. So that sort of sucks.
So how much shit do I gotta buy to play this stuff?
Well, so it depends if you're doing this right from a computer, or if you have one of those mobile controller things, you could do it right from there. If you're doing it to your TV and you want to like Chromecast, so like my TV right now is set up. My computer just goes to it, so I can just play everything.
Right.
But just depends on how you have everything hooked up, pretty much as far as that. They talked about that they have at least like 100 devs working on stuff right now. The unclear stuff is really pretty much how will these games look at a lower resolution, at a lower speed, probably like shit.
Oh yeah.
Latency, which is a big thing. Like move the controller. How long does it take for the character to do stuff? And I think there's a larger question of how much all this stuff is actually going to cost too as well. Yeah. So.
And you look at the conference and look at me playing a game and I'm moving from device to device to device. That's all fine and dandy. Guess what, Google? You got the greatest internet connection of all time that conference.
That's true.
That's not going to work at my house.
Yeah.
It's not going to look that good. You're gonna have buffering.
Yep.
There's no getting around it. You're gonna have those drops in quality because.
But let me put this to you. Imagine if tomorrow, for whatever reason, the telecommunication companies got their head up out of their asses and decided, oh, yes, now we're going to put fiber everywhere in America. They just decided to do it. Everybody had a gig connection or something or more.
Yep.
Would you then be like, okay, yeah. Like
No.
if you still would be reticent
absolutely
to that,
not.
even if the connection
because
was
I am bound by them on whether or not I can play my games.
good. Yeah.
That's it. I don't want anybody controlling how, when, why, and if I can play my games.
Eric,
that's fucking stupid.
Eric, don't tread on my games. Don't tread on my games.
Don't tread on my gaming.
Do not tread on games.
Don't tread on that. Don't trip on that snake.
Don't trip on that snake game.
That snake game.
Watch out for that. Centipede. Yeah.
Is that what it is?
I don't
centipede?
know.
I don't know. It's fucking stupid.
Just trying to think
Moving
of something. Okay, so we obviously don't know, pricing wise of games. I would hope that they would just price for the game and not for the service.
Right.
But who knows? We don't know. What happens if they shut stuff down? We've talked about that. It's gonna be kind of shitty. especially if you just don't have an internet connection. Even Netflix now offers you the ability to download some content if you're offline. So maybe that comes down the line.
And that's a pretty nifty thing. If you've got the space, same thing. If they decide to pull it from Netflix, theoretically, if you got to download it onto your deal, you should still be good to watch it until you delete it.
The controller requires a Wi-Fi connection. One of the few to do that. That's also kind of stupid because another device that requires the internet to do that. They're committed to crossplay because they want everybody to play all their games across everything.
Right.
And that was pretty much it. Yeah. And I feel like the negatives, like we said, are all coming from the business side of things with Google. Like it's all the shitty things connected to Google and digital content in general. Mm-hmm. And we've discussed them. I think I don't know. I don't know. I've had a lot of other people tell me that they experienced the streaming thing. They felt it was good, and it could be a cool thing. Yeah. And everybody else is thinking of that. All the other companies are probably going to offer something like it, but it is still, it's like this fucking new frontier shit. Like, like we're like getting in a fucking wagon trail thing, and we're going out west, and there's like, we're going to see some shit, we're going to see a bear attack a man. And I've never seen that before. Like, it's just like, we don't know what to expect out of this. And like you said, past experience with Google has not been very good. So.
Yeah, I know. My prediction is it's going to go the wayside of just like everything else they've tried to invent or create or push out into the world. I mean this in the nicest way possible. I hope it crash and burns and fails and never gets released. I think it's stupid, and it's the complete opposite direction that video gaming should go to. I have killed the poor ass gamer.
My own air. Oh no, it's very true. It's
So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Let's maybe end this with a little talk about. We got the Google deal, but we also got a little bit of some interesting news, especially coming to the next generation of consoles, which is just crazy to think about. Wow, the next generation's coming along, but
it's basically a year away.
Yeah. So we've always talked about. Oh, wait a minute. Yep. Just kidding. I was thinking of something completely different. Else, but, so I didn't know this, but when you sent this to me, I was just completely baffled. We got this tweet up here that you can see, but GameStop, unless you're listening to it via podcast, you cannot see. Therefore, we will read it to you.
Yeah.
GameStop stores just got a memo saying that Sony will no longer provide full game digital download codes to retailers. Starting April 1st, digital games will only be available straight from the PlayStation Store after that date. Add-on content and cards will still be available. I had no idea that full-on digital copy codes of games were able to be purchased at a store.
Yeah.
I didn't know. So, and I'm saying to you, like, why would somebody drive their ass to a GameStop, buy the digital copy of Red Dead Redemption 2 when you could buy for the same amount of money the really nice, physical copy, and then go home
and do the exact same process.
Redeem the code and download it.
Yeah.
When, at least when you buy the physical copy, you cut out the download part. Well, not true. The update patch.
It's completely like...
What?
Like, let's put it this way. Either way, you're sort of fucked because you still got to download and install all that stuff. Yeah. Because if one is it comes from the disc, the other is it comes from the internet.
Right.
So... I haven't seen much of a discernible difference between those two because they both, even a drive speed that now like what? Last time I ever checked a drive speed was like 48x or something crazy like that. I'm sure Blu-ray players read a lot faster than that. But I guarantee you that it's not much faster than just downloading it off the internet too.
Yeah.
So like it's like which way do you want to get sort of screwed over by like not being able to play that content right away?
Right.
And this is sort of stupid though too because it's like like why? Who's the person that this is catering to?
Yeah.
And maybe it's like the parent who goes to a store.
That's possible.
And
The parents
sees
that
it,
don't
it
know.
there. Yeah.
They don't know either
And they're
way.
like, well, why would I buy the physical thing? Well, I don't need that. I could just, they're going to download it and play it anyway, so who cares? Like, they might know that little about video games.
It's so weird.
But it is, yeah, it's like we're seeing the dwindling of GameSpot. We've been talking about it for years. That we've gotten away from giving them our money.
I went into one not too long ago because I had nothing else to do, and I had just gone to Target. And they were close, I have reasons.
Sure.
Didn't buy anything.
And Target is usually, that's where you buy everything.
Right. So, but GameStop now is like 75% toys and board games and collectibles. That's how they're sustaining their business, supposedly. Like, I was overwhelmed at the amount of non-video game material at a GameStop.
If you look really hard when you go into a GameStop, you'll see that the foundation is actually made up of Funko Pops.
The Beanie Babies of our generation.
Funko Pops. Fucking Funko Pop.
What the? It's my god.
So we could get into a whole discussion about that.
That's a whole nother episode. We're not gonna waste on this one. So
they're fun.
So this is kind of crazy. I mean, I guess crazy in the sense of I didn't know that this was a common
thing,
occurrence. And then we also heard there was a patent filed possibly for backwards compatibility for PlayStation 5.
Right.
As I've mentioned on multiple episodes, that's going to be the determining factor for me, whether or not I continue on with the PlayStation line of consoles. If I can't play my PlayStation 4 games on a PlayStation 5, I'm not talking about PlayStation 1 or PlayStation 2. Yeah. If I can't play Red Dead Redemption 2 on my PlayStation 5, I'm out.
So
I'm done.
This is what a few months ago we talked about this, or maybe a month ago, about a patent, and it was sort of this one, as far as I am aware now. That larger part of that article was explaining how they patented some sort of technology that would allow them to use current generation CPUs to emulate the CPUs of older devices, which in Japan is a big deal to put that sort of patent out there, because it means that you're saying that, hey, we're going to be able to play all of that stuff, including the content from potentially PS3, PS2, PS1.
Yeah.
They may be making a retroactive change. I'm going to put this out there. I hope, because this is how you crush and kill the fucking whole everybody, all the competition. You go, hey, PlayStation 5, it's here. Oh, guess what? We patented a piece of technology. You know all those games that you have, everything in your library?
Or hopefully you still have.
Everything. You know how it's still all out there? Well, guess what? And then they show a guy, just like they did with, the guy handing the game to the other guy. They pull, fucking Twisted Metal or some dumb shit from PS1. Pull it out, pop it in the PS5, it plays. They do that, that's over for everybody else, because now they have to compete with, okay, now everybody, they have this whole back catalog. Xbox has been kind of doing that a little bit. We've been hearing, Xbox One can play this whole game.
Yep.
And they've been pushing that, but it'd be a really crazy big deal for Sony to basically go back on what they've been building, which was the PlayStation Now service. It wouldn't hurt those services,
right?
Because people would probably still like to be able to access and download those things digitally, which
the people that use PlayStation Now are the people that most likely got rid of all those old collections and are not going to go and buy them again.
And that's okay, because that stays in that environment as far as the streaming, but also downloadable service, and then. But giving that technology to the people that have been loyal to their services for years would just be amazing. And all they would have to do is do the same sort of thing Microsoft is and be like, well, not all of the catalog is going to be available right away, but we're working on, we added this title. And it would just be, that would be monumental for them to get that whole back catalog. I definitely see what you're saying. I don't think that they're going to get away from just being like, yeah, you can't play PlayStation 4, because I don't think the differences between whatever PlayStation 5 and 4 is going to be is
not
going to
be that drastic.
Big.
I don't think. Yeah,
it's going to be a push towards 4K, like we've been seeing everybody do.
Right.
man, sometimes I think like I could get a 4K TV. I really could, because they're so cheap now, and it's just kind of amazing.
It's a standard, yeah.
But sometimes, like you said, I have a foot in that ground of 1080p's fine. Like nothing else needs to be invented for me to care that much.
There is a benefit with with 4K. You get the HDR, the high dynamic range, or whatever. So okay. Ooh, my reds are gonna pop a little bit more. Ooh,
right.
Or
like a VSync monitor. Have you seen those things before?
Mm-hmm.
Like those, are beneficial for computers and things like that. But but for movies, I want to see a movie like it's a movie in the movie theater.
Yeah, and again, 4K does the 4K. The biggest thing that people don't realize is it's not the resolution that's the big wow factor with 4K. It truly is the HDR, the better color, the better contrast, all this kind of stuff.
Darkness,
but it's things that the typical person are not going to notice.
Yeah.
This is stuff that like videophiles and crazy people that study this shit day in and day out.
Yep.
That's what they're going to notice. But you know what I mean? It's not the jump from DVD to Blu-ray was just mind blowing.
Yeah.
But the jump from Blu-ray
to
1080p
HDR
to HDR, it's not. You're like, okay.
And I'll say this much: you gave me those Lord of the Rings Blu-rays, which we're going to talk about on the
another
podcast.
episode.
And those, again, like I saw those movies originally on probably DVD, and watching them on Blu-ray, and the sound and the color, and just this is not that old of a TV, maybe 4 years.
Yeah.
And it looks fantastic.
Yeah.
And I don't think it, again, can get much better, but we're going to see everybody making a push to that. Maybe not Nintendo, but we're going to see everybody move into streaming. Some of them harder than others.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of good possibility with it in some ways, and a lot of downside to it. I think we've discussed this pretty well.
I would agree with that. You said everybody's
Any
going
final
to this,
thoughts, Eric?
Yeah, everybody. There is this trend, where everything's going to streaming, and everybody is coming up with either a streaming channel, a streaming service, a streaming subscription. Right. I'm telling you right now, it's not sustainable.
Yeah.
Not everybody's going to be able to do it. People will fail and not be successful because we're not going to sign up for everything. So it's it's going to peak. It's going to get to a point to where finally we as consumers are going to go, all right, this is enough.
Yeah, you've split up the content enough, and now like we've started seeing that with the Disney deal, with the Marvel deal, with all that stuff that DC even too, like where everybody's isolated in their own system, and like you want this, it's $5, you want this, it's $10, you want this, $13. Like it's like what we wanted was, hey, can I just ask you, the cable company, to give me this content? And they never do that. So then everybody got pissed off and started doing Netflix, and now everybody's thinking that this is the fantastic medium to provide you with everything, not just movies, but music and TV and like all of it. So it was a matter of time before it hit our games, right? But it's a matter of time before we'll know if it actually works. And I hope for the best. It might be a good thing for some people. I still hope it doesn't end, physical games. I hope it doesn't end the way that we've been doing digital content, at least in the last, couple of years.
Right.
So
I do have one really funny note I would like to end on. You'd mentioned about the streaming services, and you had mentioned, how everybody's doing it and DC's in it. I'm currently in a free trial period of, or a free membership period of the DC Universe streaming service because, oh, look at all those cool pictures. For their, DC Universe streaming service, which, and I'm going to tell you right now, the DC Universe streaming service is quite possibly one of the absolute worst. I'm the biggest DC fan of all time. You know this.
Yes.
But it is one of the shittiest services on the face of the planet because they don't have everything that's DC related. And I just, and it doesn't cater to me because I own a lot of the stuff that's on that service.
Right.
They have their 2 original shows and they're making more. They're all about that original content bullshit, whatever.
Yeah.
I got an email that told me, hey, this is your last chance to watch Superman the movie the original Superman movie with Christopher Reeve. This is your last chance to watch it on the service. Check out Christopher Reeve's original turn as the Man of Steel before his movie takes a month off from the DC Universe service.
Why?
Thank you.
Why?
Why DC? This is your movie. Why
Isn't that
does he need it? Does
Superman?
does the digital file need a vacation? What? I mean, are you going to throw up the 4K remaster?
They're going to re-edit it for new audiences.
Right, like what? So that right there is living proof as to why there's no reason to sign up for
They
the service.
want to put Jawas in the background.
Like, Superman didn't punch first. Yeah, so
why?
it's just that right there is a shining example of why this streaming stuff and digital stuff is so bad, because that right in there, they just let me know that, hey, you're not going to be able to watch this movie,
which is like the quintessential DC
right?
movie.
You know, it's like, and the only thing I can think of is, sure, maybe they just released a 4K remaster. Maybe that's what they're going to upload,
like postpone before they do the next.
But it's
one.
just it's stupid, and they don't even have everything that DC's ever created on that service. So how can you call yourself the ultimate DC service when you don't even offer
when you
everything,
don't cater everything,
you don't
that
have
you
everything?
have.
So end rant. That's it. Down with the streaming stuff. Anyhow,
I just wanted to end with a couple
walk us out of here.
Quick little jokes here that I put up here because these are so, some of them I retweeted here. Stadia sounds like a disease I get from playing games on a platform that caters to influencers.
Yeah.
You can see a nice little logo here. We should go back to this S for Stadia. That would be kind of cool. And Google can't Stadia.
Yeah.
There you go.
I see what you did there.
Pretty good joke.
You do know this is kind of weird. You're looking at your jokes that you put on Twitter.
I like this.
People.
This is also my favorite T-shirt of all time.
Pure pro wrestling at its finest. Look at that.
It's look at why does it say pure pro wrestling at it is finest? Anyways, you can check out all this fun content on
oh my god
our YouTube page. We thank you so much for subscribing. We are, of course, on gamesandgimmicks.com. You can check out all the content that's on there, too. Yep. Recent stuff. Played Astroneer, a very fun sort of No Man's Sky type game. And we'll be, in the future, finishing up that Link's Awakening DX.
Oh, yeah, you got to finish that up.
So lots of good content coming soon. We thank you again. Please check out Games and Gimmicks through Apple Podcasts, Google Play, and Spotify.
Everywhere.
And everywhere you can think of. With that, we want to thank you, and we'll see you soon.